You're now viewing the greatest of all time. No need for thank yous. The pleasure is all mine. That's my confidence. Yeah, that's right. No downplaying my accomplishments. You call me arrogant, I take it as a compliment. I got that confidence. Come on now.
Flight 527 ready for departure.
Hello, 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 all you beautiful people, and thank you so much for listening to the Loose Lip Podcast. My name is Kelsey Ray, and I am the MUA whose brain you will be picking today. Today, we're going to be touching on something that I am very passionate about, and I feel like a lot of my cohorts in my industry are also very passionate about. The old dogs that have been in the industry for a hot minute. Today, we're going to be talking about the beauty industry and the education, miseducation, and lack of education, whether it be within classical education or online education. I am so excited. I'm not sure if it's going to be a hot topic, but I'm just going to blabber on and see what y'all think about it. So before we get into it, I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you so much for being with me on this little journey of mine. Every time I go to record, I just get this boost. I started off my morning a little bit on the depressed side. I don't know if it was the weather. I just felt really down. Went and got a coffee, drove around for a few minutes to clear my head. Then I came home, did my makeup, put on some clothes, came up to my office, started recording, and my energy just skyrocketed. This project is so positive for me and such a good thing for me to keep doing. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as people are listening. Thank you again for being with me. I appreciate it very much. Jumping into today's topic, there's going to be a lot of brutal honesty on my opinions and my thoughts. I want to give a brief introduction about what I want to talk about and why I want to talk about it. What I want to talk about today is how the education of the beauty industry has really progressed from academy education and in the field education to mainly mainstream free education based from influencers, brand marketing, and trendy fads. Whether or not that's a good or a bad thing, talking about classical education and self-taught education and what the benefits are compared to what the negatives are. Then also touching on taking something that some people can call hobby and creating a career. Those are the three main topics that I want to cover today. I want to throw in some of my personal experiences as well as what I've viewed throughout the years. I started in makeup first before I started hairstyling. And I started in makeup because my dad, bless his heart, was a single father of a teenage girl. And he was at the time getting sober, going through college. He mentally and emotionally was at the same age as I was. And he was more like a big brother to me, and he was very protective. He didn't want me to grow up too fast. He didn't want me to get a lot of attention from the opposite sex. I was on the curvier side as a young girl, and I was the friend that the guys came to ask about the other girls, not to date. And I just wanted so much to be noticed. I wanted to express myself. I was a teenager. I was rebellious. But I wanted to have some sort of outlet to feel I wanted to be pretty. My poor dad was not into the idea of me wearing makeup. He wouldn't let me dye my hair. He was very hippie, but he just thought that women looked better naturally. The way I got around that was that I decided to join theater when I was 16 years old. I got into theater because I knew that they had to wear makeup for it. And I thought, if I could do that, he can't get mad at me. It's for school. I got into theater with the idea that I wasn't really going to enjoy it. It was more of an outlet for me. I got into acting. I liked it somewhat, but I actually started to get more into the makeup aspect of it. I became one of the main artists for my high school. I started doing events for people. It was really a cool way to be more artistic. I was always artistic as a child. I took tons of art classes. I learned a lot from my grandmother, who was an oil painter. There was just so much passion for art, and this was a form of art. And I thrived in it. I ended up getting out of of high school, going into a small stint of retail, also off Broadway and opera, where I elevated my skills from basic Halloween makeup that I used in our high school theater to airbrushing and wiggling, corset making, some special effects, and some prosthetics. It was every skin type, every skin tone, every age group. Hated retail, got out of that, got to network more, and got the hell out of Dodge, and really progressed in my career throughout the world and the US. I was thrown to the wolves. If I didn't know and I was trying to get a job, I would teach myself, or I would find someone that knew to train me to get a majority of the knowledge enough to get the job. And then I would learn more as I did that job. It was very hands-on. It was very get your hands dirty, learn as you go. Everything within my industry was still evolving and becoming more accessible to the public. It wasn't just film and production and fashion. The internet grew, and this knowledge and this accessibility was becoming more available for the public. When that became a thing, that is when the online beauty community exploded. The way that I was learning is basically the same way that people that are self-taught nowadays are learning. They're learning through following somebody else and having somebody else train them. But the difference is being hands-on, person to person, learning face to face, as opposed to watching a tutorial online, watching a brand made video, watching something that you can only practice upon yourself as a model, not being able to use someone else or having other dynamics within that skill. I think that's where the disconnect is. Being self-taught is not a problem by any means. If I said that it was, then I would be a hypocrite. But having just this limited knowledge of what online tutorial and education can give someone is really limiting, as opposed to taking that as well as in the field experiences and doing things hands-on. Putting those together would make somebody very well-rounded as an artist. Just having only online doesn't work. Just having only in the field doesn't work anymore either. You have to keep up with the trends. You have to keep up with the products that are new. You have to keep up with what people are looking at on Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, and all of the social medias. A combination of both is a necessity if you're going to be self-taught. Even with a classical education and academy education, you are very limited in that space. You only learn from what's being shown to you in a textbook. You're only being shown on the person that's next to you. You might potentially have a model that comes in for an example of a technique that you're doing, but that's not every person. That's not going to be everybody that you touch in your career. You have to go out and explore even when you're first starting out. That's how people practice. That's how people get better. I look back at the boom of the beauty community on YouTube, and I think, fuck, what it would have been like if I just would have jumped on that train then. Like, where would my life have taken me? I'm so glad I didn't. I would have burned out so easily, and my whole life would have been consumed with just posting and not really enjoying my career and not experiencing the things that I do within my career. And I'm really glad that I didn't take it in that direction. Watching it develop from the way that it was when it was an in-person situation as opposed to now it's majority online was very unnerving, to be honest with you. There's a lot of talent that goes into this. This is artistry. There is so much to know and so much of basics that you need to at least have. And not knowing those things really affect your whole career. You cannot go into any field and build a career and call yourself a professional without knowing 95% of that skill. You need to be at a certain level, at a certain licensing, at a certain title before you can call yourself a professional in a multitude of different careers. Just because it's makeup and hair and it's something that a lot of people don't take as a lot of skill, there's so much that goes into it and so much that needs to be learned that you cannot automatically call yourself a professional I'm sorry, I'm not going to move off that rock. It is not all right to call yourself a professional hair and makeup artist. You do not know your job. You can't do that. You are false advertising, in my opinion. When you are calling yourself a professional, you need to know every demographic, every hair type, every skin type, every texture. If you are not capable of doing a certain demographic, hair type, skin texture, or age group, do not label yourself as a professional stylist and artist. There's no rules to art. You can do whatever you want. The thing is that there are color theories, there are texture definitions, there are tones that work. All of these things are principles from painting to makeup. People who are calling themselves professionals are not always in the know of these principles. That makes me angry. You need to know your job in and out to call yourself a professional. You can say that your job is a makeup artist. You can say that your job is a hairstylist. You can say that you do these things and get paid for them. Do not call yourself a professional if you interact with a client that has hired you and they have to bring their own foundation color because you cannot supply it for them. Do not call yourself a professional if the client that has hired you has someone in their wedding party who has a texture of hair that you cannot accommodate. If you cannot do those things, hire someone else to help you. If you cannot do these things, educate yourself so that you can do these things. I cannot tell you how many times I've run into clients that have been hesitant of me helping them because I maybe don't have the same skin tone as them, be it lighter or darker. I don't have the same hair type as them, but I'm always wearing wigs, so nobody really knows my hair type until I take it off. They have hesitations because they have had bad experiences in the past with people who called themselves professionals and did not live up to the standards of the title professional. I get very defensive when it comes to my job. I like to represent what my job entails and the good part of the industry. You can only make a first impression once. This is where my hard work comes in, where I have to now convince someone else that it's not always going to suck. I know personally that having 3C coils, which is very tight curly hair, did not have the best experiences when going to professional hairstylists. I had horrific experiences with people who called themselves professionals who would argue with me about how experienced they were and about how much knowledge and education they had about my hair type over what I knew about my own head. It never turned out well. I started to get professional haircuts. My mom had always cut my hair when I was a kid and put it in a fro. And I decided I was going to grow my hair out after I was 10. I had a Gone with the Wind moment, Scarlett O'Hara. I'm never going to cut my hair again. And I didn't until I was about 18 years old. I decided after I started getting into makeup professionally that I needed to get into hair as well. I wanted to know how to do hair because not only could it make me more money, but I also really wanted to know how to do my own hair. Having the education would be beneficial in so many ways just for my own confidence and for my career. So I went around to different places where I was living at the time and got a few different haircuts throughout about a year. My hair doesn't grow very fast. And every one of the people I interacted with was a curly haired expert. They had been in their industry for 30 years, if not 20 plus years, and they knew what they were talking about. They knew what shampoo and conditioner to use. They knew how to brush my hair. They knew how to cut it. Every single one of them either cut me like a poodle or made me look like Diana Ross in the 70s with a triangled fro. I remember one woman actually brushed out my hair dry and then cut my hair like a hedge. Not only was it embarrassing to have these horrible haircuts, but also to be treated so lesser than because they knew best, but somehow it didn't turn out right. So it was my fault. It was the way that my hair was. It was because I had a different type of curly hair. Every single time I was blamed for being the one that had fucked up my hair. It was so detrimental to my self-esteem and I hated it. I thought, I'm never going to do this again. I'm just going to trim my own hair. Maybe I should just chop it all off again. I started to hate my hair and hate myself. I had a coworker at the time, and she told me, "Why don't you just go to a black salon?" It had never occurred to me to do that, not because it wasn't something I was comfortable with doing. It was more so the fact that I just hadn't thought about it. But why wouldn't I? I have the same type of hair texture as a majority of black women, so why wouldn't I go to a black salon to get my hair done? I went. Not only did I have the best haircut I've ever had in my entire life, but also I got education with it. I was told how to wash my hair properly, what types of tools to use, what type of brush to use. I was told how to sleep on it. I was told all of the different ways to take care of my curls and my hair. Once my hair was cut and styled properly, I was able to walk out of that salon with so much confidence and knowing that I was working with somebody who actually was a professional. The funny thing about it too is that girl that did my hair had only been doing hair for about 5 years. She was Mexican. She had worked with people with the same as me, but there were also women in there that had straighter hair than me, who had curlier hair than me, who had coilier hair than me. There was a variety. Knowing that somebody who had worked with multiple different clientele and hair types gave me so much more confidence in her and her abilities that I went back to her until I moved out of state. I loved going to her. We had so much fun. I loved getting my hair done. It was just something that I ended up doing more of. If I hadn't done that, I would have cut myself off from all experiences because of those bad experiences with the other stylists. I understand clients when they come to me and say, I brought my own foundation because I've had my makeup done before and I never have the right color match. Or I just wanted to make sure that I prep my hair correctly for you because I've had my hair done before and my hair never holds a curl. Or the stylists always do it wrong. I don't blame them for anything. The thing that I blame is the quote unquote professional that said they could do the services that person hired them for, and they couldn't. Going to the online education aspect, it's a blessing and a curse. I love having these videos out in the world that are educational for clients to look up. I look them up sometimes. I'm saying in general as a whole, they are not all bad. But the problem with it being is that it's too generalized. Every bit of somebody's style, somebody's look, somebody's way that they want to present themselves is so individualized. You cannot expect your viewers to take the tips and tricks you are showing and expect them all to get it right 100% of the time. Everybody's different. Everybody's face shape, eye shape, skin texture, hair type. I could have an identical twin sitting next to me, and we're still going to be different. Do the exact same things every single day and mimic each other. We're still going to be different. There's so many probabilities because the education is so generalized. So you can have so many different outcomes with a generalized education. Where does it really become that beneficial? Is it really benefiting anybody, or is it only benefiting the people that already have some talent, already have some education? Is it really giving the people who have no skills already a chance, or is it really just only for entertainment? I used to have people come into the store when I worked at Sephora, and they would almost be in tears because they wanted help finding the right product for them. Why they would want a different product than what they had tried was because the product didn't work for them. It worked for all their friends. It worked for the videos that they watched, but it didn't work for them. Why didn't it work for them? Was because everybody else is them. Nobody was teaching them specifically. Online education is great when you're trying to take a generalized view of something. Example, if you want to learn how to do a winged eyeliner, one thing I absolutely hate doing on myself, by the way, and you want to learn the basics of a winged eyeliner, there's a lot that goes into winged eyeliner. There's the different types of eyeliner, shapes for different eye shapes, different definitions, angles, ways you can apply it. There's the different finishes of the ink, creams, paints, or shadows that you use. I could do an hour-long video on just the education of winged eyeliner. That would just hit the tip of the iceberg. But watching an influencer or a TikTok about their favorite eyeliner only pertains to that person, product, application at that time. When you have somebody come in, being in my position, and telling you with a broken heart that something they wanted to do so badly and feel so good about themselves, they can't do because everybody else can but them, so there's something wrong with them. That's not what makeup is supposed to do. It's supposed to be an expression of yourself, and it's supposed to bring joy. It's supposed to make you feel good. I have had to convince someone before I work with them that it's going to be okay. Not for the fact that they're worried about me or my skills. It's the beauty world in general. It's very intimidating. There's so much going on. There's too much out in the world and not enough actual education on it. The problem is that the beauty industry does not market their products for education purposes. They market it for usage. If you go to the store and picked up a mascara for lengthening your lashes, you're going to see on the packaging something that says a message along the lines of 300% more length. Where are you getting these numbers from? 300% more than mine or my grandmother's or my husband's? I have naturally long lashes. If I had 300% more, they'd be out a foot from my face. That's not what I get when I use that mascara. If you pick up a bottle of shampoo that's for volume, it's going to claim to assist with that. Okay, well, what hair texture is it for? What hair type is it for? Is it for a dry scalp? Is it for an oily scalp? Is it for long hair, short hair? Is it for somebody who uses hot tools or not? No one tells you these things. It's generalized so that you get the big, bold effect of the words, and then you spend your money on it and try it out. If it doesn't work for you, it's just you, I guess. That's how you're meant to feel. Have you ever used a product and literally thought, what did I buy that for? It didn't do anything. Have you ever used something and it claimed to do something and you used it and it had nothing near the claim? I've had clients tell me multiple times that when I style their hair doesn't hold a curl. That's fine. It's your hair. Why don't I dive into it a little bit more and find out why it doesn't hold a curl? I had a client one time, love her to death. Still friends with her, by the way. I remember we had done a trial for her wedding a few years ago, and we were going to do her hair in these Hollywood waves. Hollywood waves were like the thing of that season, so everybody was doing them. She wanted to do a hair and makeup trial. I usually go over with a client before I meet up with them, and I try to find out the most that I can from them to figure out what they're doing with their routines, be it skincare, makeup, hair, so that I kind of have an idea of what I'm looking into. I can walk into a situation not knowing anything about a person, just like I would a model shoot or a boudoir situation. But when it's somebody's big day, I want to make sure that I get it right the first time. So I got to know her a little bit. She had told me that she wanted something more on the natural glam side for makeup. Totally fine. Get that request a lot. She had said that she would love to do Hollywood waves for her hair, but her hair does not hold a curl. It never has. So that's why she wanted a professional to do her hair. No problem. I got this. I'm a hair magician. Ego is at a 10 at the moment. Walk into the situation. We do a little sit down, go over the looks together. I get a real feel of what she's wanting. We get the hair prepped, and I decide to do curlers. Because her hair doesn't hold too well, I want to do curlers. threw them in curlers. Then I set them and went to do the makeup. I knew the makeup was going to take me about a half an hour to 45 minutes. And so I knew that there was going to be enough time for her hair to set. I do the makeup. We go back to the hair. I tape the curlers out. In most situations, these curlers would have held hair very well. I take them out and her hair falls flat. I mean, flat as paper. And I get a little scared. I get a little intimidated. I decide to recurl the sections that were in the curlers and use a straight bar curling iron. It's still not holding. No curl to it. I start to panic. I think, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to ruin this girl's hair. I can't keep using these hot tools on it. I need to give her hair a little bit of a break. Something is going on that I just am not seeing. And I need to figure out what it is. So when we get done with the whole trial, I tell her, I need to do this again with you. I need to figure out what's going on first, though. And I'm going to give you a call this evening and see if there's anything that we can do. I would really love to do a second hair trial with you. I won't charge you. And if we can't do it in the end, I'll give you all your money back. I don't care. I just need to figure this out. At this point, it's driving me nuts. So she is a little disappointed, but she understands. I go home and I text the woman that trained me on how to do hair. The greatest thing was that the place that I got that first haircut that I loved was actually the place that trained me on how to do hair. So I get a hold of her and I tell her what happened, my frustrations, and the steps that I took. She's quiet for a moment. I ask a few questions and I say, yeah, we tried this. Yeah, we did this. Yeah, I thought about that. I just don't know what to do. Then she asked me a question I didn't even think about. The client had said that she never used hot tools on her hair and she was very good to her hair. She used very high quality, expensive products, and she was very protective of her hair. What the woman asked me was, what shampoo and conditioner does she use? What she asked me was, what shampoo and conditioner does she use? And I thought about it for a second and I said, I don't know. I didn't ask. And she laughed at me and she goes, well, go ask her and get back to me. So I texted the bride and I asked her. Come to find out, she used high protein products on her hair. She used things like Olaplex, really good, expensive, high quality salon products. The problem was that she had finer hair and was weighing it down. She was using too high a protein count in her products and her hair was heavy. It wasn't holding anything. The hair didn't have the capability to hold a style because it was too heavy. Nothing I would have done would have worked. It clicked in my brain as soon as she said that. I told the bride, hey, you're going to hate me, but try for a week to not use your amazingly expensive and high quality products on your hair. Just go get something inexpensive that's just a daily shampoo and conditioner that's like a clarifying shampoo and conditioner and just use those products. She wasn't happy with me, but I told her again, if we could do this and try it in a week and it works, great. If it doesn't, she'll get her money back and she'll never have to talk to me again. So we did just that. She stopped using her products. She used the ones that I suggested. And after a week, we did a hair trial. Her hair held a curl for 4 days. It was remarkable. This girl had never had texture hold in her hair before. I was angry with marketing and social media because at the time, Olaplex had just launched in Sephora and was being mass marketed to people as the miracle product for everyone to use. It's a great product for people with damaged hair, not just anybody. If you bleach the shit out of your hair, you're going to need something to fill in those gaps and the holes in your hair. It makes sense. You stripped it. You need to rebond it. But the heavy bonds and proteins that she was using were weighing down for naturally non-chemically treated, non-heat tool treated hair. And so she had hated her natural hair for years. It was never her fault. It was what she saw and what she was told. With the rise of online education within the beauty industry, I see a lot of people, especially since COVID. COVID was a huge blow up for this, where people take this idea that they have a hobby and make it into a business. Not only does that insult how hard I've worked for my business and how much I've sacrificed in my own personal business, but also by advertising yourself as a professional, not having all of the experiences, all of the actual education, whether it be in the field, classical, or on the internet, not being a representative of what makeup and hairstyling actually is within the beauty industry, not just what you see in advertising, only doing trendy looks, only being comfortable with certain things, and not the broad spectrum of everything that is offered within the beauty industry. That's where I get angry. I fucking hate it when I see people, especially one of the biggest places that I get my clientele for my jobs. I work mainly in wedding industry. Up here in Washington, we are the most popular state in the United States for weddings, destinational or just people living here. I do weddings from Southern Canada to Montana to Northern California. I am in my car all the time. I'm driving all over the place, and I see a majority of the same clientele. It is a lot of natural looks, natural glam, maybe pushing it. Sometimes every so often there's a fun look or two, but majority of the time people just want to look like themselves and just slightly enhanced. I could give you a top 5 of the hairstyles that I do, and I probably do about 10 to 20 of those a week. With the newer people that are coming out and wanting to be professionals, makeup artists, and hairstylists, they seem to have taken a hobby that they liked to do on their own and make it into a profitable business. You can do that by all means, boo-boo. Make your paper, I don't care. But when you go on to the Facebook wedding groups, Google advertising, Instagram and TikTok, and I see you come up in my reels as a professional makeup artist, and all of your portfolio is edited photos or AI created photo, blatantly, you have no right. You have a lot of work to do. Those are the kind of people who take people's money and screw up their day. This is a huge day for someone. They're spending time, money, stress, memories. You are putting an image in their brain that they're going to have the perfect look. They're going to have exactly what they're asking for, and you're not going to provide that. Then I have to come in, or my friends have to come in and clean up the mess. Since 2020, about 30% of my bookings, and I book from January to December, my busiest months being May to October. May to October, I book 110 to 120 weddings. I do multiple weddings in a day sometimes. I'm gone a whole week at a time, sometimes from home. In the winter times, I'm all the way across the state, if not in a completely different state. 30% of my bookings from January to December are 911 calls. 911 calls mean a bride has called me last minute because their artist that they booked with didn't perform to the standards they were advertising for. They couldn't do the look or give them what they were requesting. I get 911 calls about artists who do trials with their clients, and it turns out horribly because they don't have the proper etiquette. They don't have the proper hygiene skills with their kits. They don't use products that are going to work in the situations given. They don't have a setup that works for them and their clientele. It takes a lot to be in this industry. It is taxing. It is overwhelming at times, and you have to be passionate about it. I love my job. I absolutely love my job, or else I wouldn't keep doing it. I love what I do, and I love helping people, and I love educating. I educate artists and clients. I love helping people learn because you can't get better unless you learn. I still do classes. I still further my own education. I still push myself because I don't know everything. I'm never gonna know everything. I have to keep evolving or else I need to get the fuck out. Not being able to accommodate 99.9% of your clientele in your market is unacceptable when calling yourself a professional. A lot of that has come from online education. There has been a lot of people who watch tutorials, use their own faces as their model, and then say that they're a makeup artist. I don't wear a lot of makeup. I wear enough so that I don't look like a crazy naked mole rat. I naturally have partial alopecia, so I have no eyebrows. My eyelashes fall out half the time, and they're blonde. I have almost no hair because I shaved it off a while ago. I'm pretty pale. Like, I look like a naked mole rat if I don't put a little bit of something on in a wig. I accept myself that way, but still, I like to look a little bit put together. Unless I'm trying on a product and I'm trying to tell people about it, I usually take pictures of the products and then post them because I like the products. I didn't learn to use my own face. I expanded. I learned on other people. I learned on every demographic. I learned on every age group. I learned on every skin texture, eye shape, eye texture, eye color, skin tone, undertone. When I do my makeup, my husband and I go out and I feel like I want to get a little bit more done up than normal. I hate it so much if I wear too much makeup because I don't feel comfortable. If I show up to a wedding and I'm working with a fellow artist, maybe I see they have 4 ring lights up, their camera on their phone, and they have placed their client in the correct position for the lighting that they want. That screams to me that they're just doing that for their own benefit. Is that client going to be underneath ring lights again? Are they going to see your video that you made for your content? Probably never again. Are you the videographer? No. If you are doing it for your own benefit and your own content, you should be booking and working with content creating people within the beauty industry. You should be taking your own personal time and having shoots with models, photographers, stylists, choreographers, depending on the situation. You should be doing these shoots to boost your portfolio. You should not be using somebody's wedding day. You should not be using somebody's maternity shoot. You should not be using somebody's engagement photos to boost your portfolio. It's so selfish. I understand that that's where the market is, and that's what we have to do now. And yeah, I might sound like a boomer because, oh, we never did this back in the day. But if you think about it on a human level, it is the most selfish thing that you can do. Somebody hired you to perform a service. Somebody hired you to do something and share that moment with them. You don't need to bring out the ring lights. You don't need to film for your TikTok. Do that on your own time. I do before and afters because I have to. I honestly hate them. I hate before and afters. I only do them for my clients when we're doing trials. Or I'll do them for my brides if they didn't have some getting ready photos. Besides that, I hate doing them. I want my work to be lived in. I want my work to be loved, and I want it to be spoken about that way. But I know nobody's going to ask me for my in-person portfolio anymore. Nobody's going to ask me for printed work. Nobody's going to ask me for a run just to see how I do a look. Because that's how I did it. When I first started out, I had to go with a portfolio of my printed work that I had to pay for myself and It was beautiful. I spent so much money on it. There was recommendation letters in there. There was written reviews that were hand-signed, editorial photos. There were mid-work photos. There were action photos. There was publications. It was a full binder of my work. When I would sit down with somebody, I'd explain why I do my work, how I do my work, where I've been, and what this picture was about, and what this picture was about. Then sometimes I even had to do an in-person trial to show them how I performed. This isn't done anymore. I had to prove my education to the people hiring me. Now, all somebody has to do is go online and check someone's Google reviews or check somebody's Instagram. All that can be faked. You can pay for Google reviews. You can edit all of your photos. You can fake everything on the internet. This does not prove talent. This does not prove dedication to your career. This does not prove anything. It really irks me because I see so many people that don't have the background, that don't have the education, that don't have the experience projecting themselves as professionals. Then they mislead their clientele and I have to come pick up the pieces. It's like a bad relationship. Just recently, I was talking to a friend of mine, and there's somebody out there advertising themselves as a professional makeup artist. This person is trying to book people to give her their money, their time, their stress, knowing that she's not at that level to give them the full services that they require. And we can't do anything about it. She's not doing anything wrong. The only thing that she's doing wrong is some of her posts she puts AI photos up on and advertises that they might potentially be her work, which is wrong. But besides that, she's really not doing anything wrong. It's just knowing that the talent isn't there, that the experience isn't there, that the products that she uses are not going to work, that the clients, if they do book with her, even though they got drawn in by the nicety of something, that they're not going to get the quality that they deserve. And it brings me back to thinking of how it was when I got those haircuts. When I went to people who advertised and preached that they were professionals and they weren't. Their unwillingness to further their education, how bad of an experience I had. But I can't change it all, and I can't really change much. All I can do is keep my head up and keep trudging on and trying my best to change people's minds on what exactly this beautiful industry can offer to them. So I hope you all enjoyed my little rant today. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you have anything to say about this? Have you experienced anything like this before? Did you ever see something online from someone, maybe an influencer, and you went out and bought it and it didn't work for you, but it worked for everybody else? Let me know what you think about education within your career and how important it is, or maybe how unimportant it is. Thank you again for listening. I appreciate you. I'll catch you on the next one. At least I don't look like a crispy, deep-fried zombie chicken anymore. And that's where I believe that... Hold on. I don't get this. Really?